Well now, the start of all of my recent videos are immediately outdated. Turns out Nintendo still has room to talk, and 15 minutes worth of stuff to say too. It seems like their E3 presentation is packed completely full, since this seems more like it was clearing out all the extra details it couldn't fit in. And sure, there was a little bit of going over the absolute basics for new fans, but honestly, it just makes a lot of sense. And bloody hell, what a lot of content it revealed too. This is set to be the ultimate Super Mario Maker game. I feel like they've covered so much of a basis that there's almost not much more they could expand if they ever made another sequel. But we don't need to worry about third sequels just yet, because there's been so much content revealed that even those big trailer analyses channels haven't fully processed all the information there is to see so far. But some of the things they have already revealed and detailed in this direct include slopes, gentle slopes, angry sun, snake blocks, on and off switches, seesaws, swinging claws, water levels, lava levels, custom scrolling, vertical courses, scrolls stopping, banzai bills, dry bone shells, big coins, new sound effects, co-op make him, clear conditioning, twisters, icicles, conveyor belts, red Yoshis, parachutes, boom boom, story mode, desert themes, snow themes, forest themes, sky themes, the moon, night themes, floating goombas, upside down levels, dark lighting, low gravity, sandstorms, slippery lands, poison forest, rotten mushrooms, 3D world style, Count Mario, clear pipes, crates, warp boxes, bike blocks, exclamation mark blocks, blinking blocks, track blocks, mushroom trampolines, piranha creepers, skip squeaks, Koopa Trooper cars, char vargs, pom-poms, forward banzai bills, new online browsing like tags, new comments, downloadable offline play, maker points, customization, endless challenges, online multiplayer, multiplayer versus, multiplayer co-op, and dedicated rooms. And that's just mostly the subtitles that they've given this direct. Doesn't even mention the unmentioned details like Meowser, Toadette in new forms, and likely 100 plus minor details that other analysis videos will probably cover soon. But after all of that, I still think it's pretty clear that there's even more to be crammed into Super Mario Maker 2. Somehow. Nintendo may have a packed-in E3 event planned, but the game will surely be making an appearance in their presentation too, especially with the game coming so soon after the actual event. It just lines up all too well. So today we're going to be speculating for that extra 10% Nintendo has still yet to reveal, and the possible opportunities that could arise from it. Now, the most obvious one to point out is clearly that last theme. There's an ominous empty gap and people have been saying all sorts of things, and of course, yes, we will be talking about that one. But first, let's whet our appetites a bit for some of the more potentially smaller things that still leave us on edge for more to be explored. Starting off is something I expect we'll see as an asset that we haven't actually seen yet as far as I know, and that is secret areas, such as whenever you play New Super Mario Bros. U, there are certain hidden caves that aren't accessible until you enter them. I think that would be the perfect asset to see, especially with new objective opportunities to allow you to find hidden details and items in the level. But the first major thing I think we should drive our attention towards is new power-ups. We already know there is a new hammer item that's supposedly going to do something, like Captain Toad's pickaxe or something, but more opportunities we could see with more snow levels and particularly icy, slippery levels in the night theme. I figure we could see the return of the penguin suit. It would be simple, easy enough, and who knows, maybe we'll get the penguin enemies to come follow suit. That was not meant to be a pun, but there it is. Others have suggested that maybe Mario will again be able to wear his Hammer Bros suit, enabling him to throw hammers himself. I think it would be quite cool, although it's not exactly a power-up or more of just an item, if we could see the time clock adding more time to a level. It would especially be fun if it is a race against time, literally chasing the clocks to get through the level in time. Another thing we could see is perhaps the blue shell. It wasn't the most favourite item, but it is a lot of fun to play with. Instead of having to kick a Koopa, you can just wear a Koopa and go around playing with the blocks and stuff. Two major items I'm surprised we haven't actually seen in major capacity is the Mini and Mega mushrooms. They're more likely known for the new Super Mario Bros. Style, but I feel it could translate fairly well in pretty much every style. For the 3D world style, considering it works very differently to the others, I imagine a throwable item like a boomerang could return to that game too. It's an item we haven't seen yet, but I feel it makes a lot of sense. Same can be said with the cannon box that you wear on your head to shoot out cannons. Maybe it could even act as light like it does in the ghost houses. There's also the double cherry, which is iconic for the 3D World games, but it's yet to appear here. It may be a little more difficult, considering it's harder to split up duplicates when it's on a 2D plane, but I feel like it's probably possible. Two other notable 3D World style things is the giant rideable ice skate for perfect snow levels and snow lakes and whatever you choose to design, and also the holdable piranha plant that can bite things in front of you. I feel these are all things that have yet to be revealed, but now that we're a bit more comfortable with how the 3D world works, we'll be seeing these kind of items more prevalently. A really big one that I hope we can see expanded a lot more is different clear objectives. Some of the ones we did see were things such as not landing on the ground, but I could see the opposite being that you had to clear a level without jumping. It would seem a bit iffy to do and need very specific level design, but I could see that being a fun little thing to try. Also, with the whole Koopa Troopa cars, I'm imagining Koopa Troopa car styled levels. I want more of those car levels that are super fast, practically working like an auto Mario. That's what I need in my life. And going back to that whole racing against time thing, I think we should see more time limit levels, although that would basically just be standard levels with a shortened timer. But I still think that could work quite nicely. Though in case you were interested, some of the other clear objectives we saw was taking no damage, not landing on the ground, picking up all of the items, defeating all of the enemies, and maybe another one we could see actually is survival. Instead of the goal being to reach an end or to collect a certain thing, maybe it's just it keeps a record of how long you survived in the game. Maybe it works as an actual room that you're stuck in, constant enemies will be coming at you, or at least to a certain degree, and then you say how long you lasted. Or at the very least, maybe it is just survive for a certain amount of time. So you can win, not necessarily get a record, but it still works in a similar manner. Another one that I don't think people are talking about that much, but I figured I'd give it some room anyway. There are now 10 total themes to choose from, as well as 10 nighttime variants of those themes. But looking at the box, although there is the dangling sun and moon, maybe there's room for one more. And I was thinking, what theme haven't they really touched upon? And my guess would have been the beach theme. It's kind of desert, kind of water, could be a nice even ground between them. And as for the moon version of it, maybe it simply rains. It has seemed to have been a more stable thing that some Mario levels have rain on the camera, and it does look really nice. Maybe we get that kind of effect here. Mostly because the other levels took all the super fun stuff like, anti-gravity, going upside down, and having, no lights. And for the final mini piece I figured I could expand, I want to talk about the rotten mushroom for a sec. This could potentially open up to having more options. Maybe it is just going to be a single item that's rotten now. But this kind of reminds me of the Lost Levels, the non-canonical sequel to the original Super Mario Bros. Perhaps this kind of style could introduce more assets that are a little bit more mean to the player. Maybe there are assets that hide enemies, kind of like a mimic. The main difficulty from the Lost Levels games came from technically unfair choices like leaps of faith and hidden blocks stunting your jump, but that's mostly how Mario Maker levels go anyway, so I'd be interested to see if there's more options there. Maybe there's a thing that you think is okay and then it turns out it's not. I don't know. It was an idea of, this could be another connection to another Mario game, but now I'm trying to think of actual ideas. It's fallen flat. There are other things I did want to mention, but I couldn't actually come up with very specific ideas. For example, usually when you shake a character, they will become an alternate form of themselves, and in this game it comes out more like a menu, and I was thinking, what other alternatives could there be for things? What's the alternative of a Koopa Troopa car? I didn't really have one. Maybe we could see a Bowser's car, actually, but I'm doubtful. Another thing I was thinking of talking about was the on-off switches. What other uses could they have? You can turn all sorts of mini-games into things there. Obviously, it could be collect this key, and the key is hidden behind that puzzle that we saw in the Direct. There could also be interesting levels with changing the tracks around, but this is stuff they already showed. I was trying to think what new things they could do, and I couldn't think of any. I would like to see one where you could change clear pipes, but that's just not really functional, is it? I was also thinking we could do new sounds, and I had one actual idea to submit, and it was having like a cinema audience cheering you on in silhouette form, and then I found out the very first sound they show off is exactly that. Silhouette form, cinema style audience. Typical. But if you have any ideas of your own, feel free to voice them. Now let's talk about the main thing to talk about. There's a lot more ground to cover there anyway. The new style, the one at least hidden theme. Maybe there's 3. There could be room for 3, but still, let's talk about what a new style means. It would specifically be separated from Super Mario Bros. 1, 3, and World because it works mechanically different. It would need unique enemies that don't necessarily work in the older styles, unique power-ups as well, unique platforms and assets, as well as I just said, unique mechanics. Now to me, the most probable, in fact practically guaranteed asset style this is Super Mario Galaxy. Yes, it's a 3D game, but so was Super Mario 3D World, and it could work fairly well in the 2D style. We'll go through each piece by piece. So starting off, how would the themes work with Super Mario Galaxy? Well, I think it's fairly simple. There's a lot of iconic galaxies that very many people would be happy to see return. The ground theme could very simply just be Good Egg Galaxy, or a similar first level kind of galaxy. The underground could not necessarily be a specific galaxy, but just the underground layout that they have, being very fittingly a 2D platformer maze style with its own different assets of gravity-based mechanics. The underwater theme could very easily be Buoy Base or another underwater galaxy. I mean, they're basically, it's a Mario game, they're built pretty easily around these themes. The Ghost House can be one of those ghostly galaxy themes. This is not very hard. The airship theme, you'll never guess, is Bowser Jr.'s Airship Armada. Wow. One of the ones I did find a little bit complicated was the castle theme. I've got 3 different options kind of in my head. There's the Battle Rock Galaxy, the Chompworks Galaxy for a little bit more of a metallic sense, and obviously Bowser's Galaxy Generator. Obviously, castles are a little bit more iffy because there was only ever really ruins floating around in space. The desert theme could very easily be the Dusty Dune Galaxy, and the snow theme could even be Freeze Frame Galaxy. Although the night levels in the snowy world is usually turned into slippery ice, maybe for this case, it turns it into pure fire, because there is that very much hot and cold style with these kind of galaxies. For the forest theme, we could simply get Honey Hive Galaxy, with the honey becoming poisonous, I guess, in the nighttime theme, or Tool Trunk Galaxy from Super Mario Galaxy 2. The sky theme is very obviously going to be Gusty Gardens Galaxy. I mean, come on, there's just no other alternative. And if they do end up going with a beach theme, they could go with the Beach Bowl Galaxy or the Deep Dark Galaxy. The only galaxy I wish we could have fit in, but I wasn't really sure how to or where, is Space Junk. That could be Sky, I guess, or the Sky Night theme, because that is more spacey and anti-gravity. We'll see. That was an idea, though. But let's talk unique enemies. That's one of the main reasons they can't really copy this over to the older games. And one of the first ones that came to my head was the giant prickly piranhas, but they actually, to a degree, appear in the Super Mario 3D World style. So it's even more fitting that their brother style is Super Mario Galaxy, because I think it works quite nicely there. Other things we could see are maybe the bosses turned mini-bosses. Dino Piranha could go around with you hitting at his egg tail. Major Burrows could be burrowing around in some diggable area, in some diggable dirt that you can ground pound to whack him out of. And Kingfin can be there in a giant underwater world where you have to use a shell to aim at him and shoot at him. As for mini enemies, we could get the Astro Goombas, the little ones that hold the helmets, or the Jacka Goombas, being a ghostly pumpkin version of that. We could get some big pokies that fall on top of you, Bomboos that get stuck spinning around you. More likely we'll get the little burrs or the little cinders, keeping in with that hot and cold theme. Mandabugs are available to be ground pounded on. Mobile sentry beams, keeping you always on your toes. Octaguys, just being kind of another Goomba. Cosmic Mario could be fun, potentially for a racing style mission. Ring beams can be there to keep you jumping up and down. Spanglers as a new spider enemy. Top Man as your, I guess, kind of mini-boss that you have to avoid around. Toxbox is also one that we have seen in other themes, or at least we've seen in Super Mario 64, so I imagine it could translate to older games, but Toxbox seems most likely here, at least. We could also get maybe the Twisters as an alternate version of the mini Twisters we see in the actual Direct. The only other thing I've got right now for unique enemies is the incoming Chomps, just rolling Chain Chomp Bulls. There's so many options here that it feels less likely that it won't be in than the fact that it won't, if that makes any sense. But we've still got more to talk about. Because up next we got the unique platforms and assets little subtitle I've given. This is pretty obvious when it comes to Super Mario Galaxy. When you're in the underground sections, there's all sorts of anti-gravity elements. There can be the red and blue parts telling you which way to go if you're upside down or not, or you can even have those spinning square tiles where the longer you stand on it, the more you change directions of gravity. There's also, quite notably, the launch stars, potentially sending you to just different areas of the level, potentially just to get you over an extra long gap, if it's that kind of minimized style. There's the disappearing platforms, like the ones on the giant Mario and Luigi sprites. Similarly, there's also the spinning platforms doing the exact same thing. There's pull stars to pull Mario across this giant open space, and sling webs to sling him different directions. Maybe in 2D space it just slings him up, down, left, and right. Or, you don't know, it still works, just diagonally, not forwards. There's the rolling boulders as an element that you have to avoid. Maybe spin attacking at the right point will literally break it like the game does. There's ramp boosts for if Mario turns into a boulder for a certain power-up, it can send him somewhere. There's the crumbling stairways that are usually seen just before the battle arena with Bowser. There can be plenty of star bits hanging around, maybe replacing coins, even though they do both appear, so probably not. There's also, pretty more majorly, is the rolling ball mechanic could make a reappearance, with you having to control Mario completely differently, and the manta ray having racing water levels. There's also room for, and I feel like it should have appeared in 3D World, and if it hasn't, I'll mark it here anyway, is the question mark, exclamation mark platforms. If you stand on a certain amount of platforms and turn them all into exclamation marks, then you clear it and then it progresses something forwards. And of course, the big major thing that's a final stop is the levels don't end on a flagpole. They would instead end with a power star being collected, kind of like Super Mario Bros. 3's little roulette system. Now that was fairly easy enough, but getting even easier is thinking of the unique power-ups. There's not a ton in Super Mario Galaxy, but they all stand out in their own different ways. For a start, how about the bee mushroom turning Mario into Bee Mario, literally being able to fly for a little bit and sticking to honey. The Boo suit is there to put him in an ethereal state and making him wave through certain platforms. The Cloud Flower can appear and help with his spin attack to create his own floating cloud platforms, perhaps they're even adjusted by wind and twisters. There's the Spin Drill that can drill Mario through a certain type of ground if we choose to make that kind of dirty land. The Spring Suit to giving extra elevation to vertical levels. And of course the Ice Flower, not just spinning out icicle balls, but allowing Mario to run on water and maybe even skate if he does a spin attack. And as for unique mechanics, though we have touched on most of these, there is of course collecting the Power Star, racing a cosmic version of yourself, anti-gravity areas, flying to the next portion, riding a ball, riding a manta, swimming with shells could be quite interesting, or even having it extra dark and using them as light instead, a spin attack, which I imagine would just be on a button press these days, maybe even shooting star bits. It wouldn't work with motion controls anymore, but maybe it's just an extra button that directly attacks in front of Mario. Collecting star bits could also be an extra alternative objective now. Running on water, obviously a thing. Melting snow with a fire flower perhaps. And of course, musical notes. Going through all of them gets you a certain reward. Seems like a fun little thing. Maybe you can even choose what music plays. Or what if you could even choose your own? Be a very minor thing to do, but you never know. Or maybe you can create your own musical theme, and then every time you make musical notes, it will use that associated theme. So everyone has their own song. It's an idea. Now I did briefly try and think of other alternatives for different Mario styles, and though there is some options, there's not nearly as much as Super Mario Galaxy. For example, Super Mario 64 has new jumping modes, but generally it doesn't work too well with things that we haven't already gotten. Like the bullies, they appear in 3D World, so it's great and all that we can do a backflip, but I don't think it's going to get its own style. Super Mario Sunshine might have a little bit more, because not only does it have its backflips, its long jumps, and its triple jumps, it has obviously floods. Things can react to the different water elements. You can clear paint as a little objective or a thing to unlock new things. You can get the rocket nozzle and the turbo nozzle, the hover nozzle and the normal shooting nozzle. There's again manta riding, apparently a theme, or watermelon pushing. Beyond that, I started to run out of ideas because I don't think we'll do any kind of boat riding mechanics with Super Mario Sunshine. But maybe as an odd little thing to think about, what if they made a Super Mario Odyssey level? It would seem mostly normal to what you'd expect, but the major thing about it would be using Cappy. What if you could actually possess enemies? Because that would be all you need to suddenly create a large open world to explore platforming-wise. We already saw how well the platforming worked in Super Mario Odyssey with all the different enemies doing different jumping mechanics. This would be an incredibly large update, and I don't think it will be released in time for its actual release date. Maybe this could be a gigantic DLC, or maybe this is just way too big a project, but if that's an option, that would be a gigantic option. But that's just food for thought. That is my scope of general thoughts I thought could come from beyond the Nintendo Direct we already saw. We'll learn more on pretty much everything in less than a month, but do let me know your thoughts, or perhaps even expand mine if you can come up with better sound ideas. Oh well. Either way, when the game comes out, I will certainly be playing it a lot and likely streaming it for like hours and hours and hours back on end. And since it's got online multiplayer, I implore that you come to those streams so you can come join me with some online play. But no, I am genuinely super excited to experience this game now, but my god is it turning out to be some kind of weird, unique masterpiece. Still, I will be ending it off here. I can't believe I managed to talk about this for 26.5 minutes, good lord. Anyway, this is me all done. But yeah, I'll be ending it off here. I'll see you guys on Monday. My name's me Daz, you didn't really care, and I'll see you in a bit.